Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome wherever you are. I'd like to introduce Jill to us, our regular Saturday speaker, who's actually doing the second chapter of The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I hope most of you have started reading it because it is a very good book. It's a short book, not very long, and I've gained so much insight, even now after several years of reading it again. I find I'm getting information that I didn't pick up the first time because it's all relevant to what you're currently doing. It's like anything, even the Bible. I pick up the Bible every now and then, and there's a lot of inspiring stories that help you in your life and also in your business. There's lots of stuff in there. In fact, really, if you think about it, if we really knew the Bible fully, we wouldn't need any other books. And that's a fact, because most books that talk about different inspirational things derive from things that come from the Bible. And one of my favorite speakers, Jim Rohn, used to speak about the seasons and everything else, and he used to speak about a lot of things. And if you ever look up Jim Rohn, you'll see a lot of stuff on YouTube. He's constantly referring to the Maker. If you haven't come across him, you'll know that once you dig him up, he's an amazing speaker. Unfortunately, he's not with us now, but I remember when he was alive, he was and still is an amazing person, because his legacy lives on in all his material, his books, etc. And that's what's crucial about what he did. He touched a lot of people all around the world. A lot of people in network marketing know of him, and Jeff Olson is another person who's also well known, and he's the person who's written The Slight Edge. So over to you, Jill.
Okay, when I say chapter 2, there are many editions of this book, and the chapter numbering changes between editions, but the title is probably the same. And as Derek says, encourage you to read the book, but I'll try and give the main points. So, why are 95% of people unsuccessful and only 5% of people successful? And he gives some basis for the statistics. Well, what he suggests is that successful people do simple things that are easy to do. So why wouldn't you do them? Even though simple everyday actions create success, only 5% of people are successful, and that's because they don't do the things because they're easy not to do as well as easy to do. So anyone could do them, but most people won't. But doing them puts you into the 5% of people who are successful. So it's well worth paying attention and doing them. The other thing that this chapter says is that the slight edge is always working. And that can either be for you or it can be against you, because the things that you habitually do all the time in your life are going to determine your outcomes. And so if you continually do bad habits, you're not going to get the result that you want. But if you choose to do these simple things consistently, you will get what you want. I did chapter 1 of this last week on the Wednesday evening training, and Derek's posted recordings of that. So if you missed it then, it's probably worth going back to that. But in that, I put up the steps in our hyperfund business, that are the simple things that you need to do in order to grow the business, which are things like identifying people that you know who you could tell about hyperfund, contacting them, inviting them to a presentation, getting them to a presentation, following up with them afterwards, probably by a three-way call with your sponsor, and then signing them up and getting their account funded and inviting them to trainings. So that they are simple things, but we have to do them, and we have to do them consistently, and that's not as easy as it sounds. It might be simple, but it's not necessarily easy. So we have a choice every day and every hour to choose whether to do simple positive action and repeat that over time, or to stay with potentially simple errors of judgment or bad habits repeated over time. And so if you that should say yeah, unless you make it work for you, it will work against you, which yeah, that's sort of both positive and negative as a statement, but it certainly made me take notice. Now, one of the problems is we can all have a goal in hyperfund, and I hope that everyone on this call has a goal in hyperfund, where you want to get to. Do you want to be a VIP 5? Do you want your rewards to reach a certain amount so that you can start taking them as an income? What are the results you're after? But in terms of seeing that result, you have to do those simple things consistently every day. And at the beginning, you're not going to see the results. It's going to take time for the income that you get from hyperfund to build. So you have to do the simple things without seeing it make any difference, at least to start. And it's at the start when you're turning those things into habits, and they're not yet habits, so it's easy not to do them. So maybe this is the reason that it's hard, and 95% of people don't manage it. So the first bullet point in this is definitely in the book, that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, and progressive is the key word there. And I think the second bullet point might be in the book as well, that success is a process rather than a destination. You have to be successful at the process of doing the steps every day in order to get to the destination. So you determine the simple steps that work, and you keep doing them every day. Alongside hyperfund, my biggest challenge is losing weight. And the same process applies absolutely equally to losing weight as to growing a hyperfund business. So you have to pay attention to what you actually eat. I have to pay attention to what I eat, and I have to do it consistently. And I can have a day when I'm really pleased I did everything right, and I get on the scales the next morning and my weight's gone up. And you don't see the success for multiple days, but you have to keep doing it every day. And one of the things that helps me is I'm using an app, and it starts off by saying the one thing that you need in order to make this a success is to believe that you're going to reach the goals. And I think that applies equally here. It's the same process. This slight edge applies to pretty much anything that you want to change in your life. But actually, I don't think ultimate success is the only feedback. Because Jeff Olson in the book says that by the time you get the feedback of success, the real work's already been done. But you can measure the inputs. You can measure the number of times a day you do the simple steps. How many leads have you contacted today? How many people are in your network? Is that growing each month? And there are lots of other things that you can measure as well. How many trainings have you been on? How are you thinking about hyperfund? What's your level of comfort with doing the steps? And on other trainings that I've been on since joining this team, which is really good for providing trainings, we talked about this worksheet, which comes from Tim Sales, and it's letting you tick off the number of times you've done activities every day. And some of those are personal development, because that's important. These training sessions are important. And then there's how many leads have you generated? How many people have you identified that you can contact? And then how many messages have you sent to those leads? How many have you actually connected with? How many have you invited? How many have you got to a presentation? How many are sponsored partners? So you've actually joined them up. And then what have you done to train your partners? So keeping some sort of worksheet, not necessarily this complicated, definitely makes a difference to me in knowing that I'm actually making progress. Because I find it, I may have actually talked to a few people about hyperfund, but by the end of the day, I've forgotten. And if I don't keep records, then I can be telling myself that I'm not doing very well, whereas actually I am making progress. And keeping positive in this game, it makes so much difference. So when we don't do the steps, that can be because it's easy to use the excuse that I'll do them tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow. This applies very much to losing weight for me as well. But there's a big cost to waiting, because it's an exponential process, especially hyperfund. So potentially your rewards go up exponentially, and they go up with a steeper exponential rise when you introduce new people. And so the more you wait, the more you risk that really steep bit of the curve you'll never get to. And you're definitely pretty much ensuring that you won't get as far up the curve. Or sorry, that's what I've just said. It will take you longer to get to the really steep rise in the curve if you don't start now. But it's never too late to start. So don't use what I've just said to say, well, there's no point then. But it's always too late to wait, because every time you wait, you are doing yourself out of rewards. So in summary, and this comes from the book, the truth is what you do matters. What you do today matters, and what you do every day matters. All the little things matter. And successful people just do the things that seem to make no difference, and they do them over and over and over until the compound effects kicks in and you can see the difference, and everyone can see the difference. So that's it for this. I will stop sharing.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Thank you. That was really good. I certainly, I still pick up things, even though when you do it in that way, it's conveyed in a different way. So you think in a different way, you take the knowledge on board in a different way. And I was just writing down notes for the things I was going to do on getting started. So before I open up to everyone, thank you, Jill. Before I open up to everyone to sort of go through some stuff, I just wanted to go through a few things. When I started on the 6th of May, in 12 weeks, I'd actually sponsored 12 people. That's one person a week. Now, I know there are people in this team who have sponsored more than one person per week, okay, and are still doing that. And the reason why I'm saying that is I'm nothing special, because there are people out there who are doing much, much better than me. And the only difference between them and me is they're just a bit further back in time. So when they get to the time span I've been in the business, they're probably going to be further ahead than I am. So it's interesting to sort of look at it and not judge yourself against other people, but judge yourself against yourself. You really, I think the minimum needs to be one person a week. And the reason why I say that is it gives you momentum. If you're not doing one person a week, then the amount of effort you're putting into this is very little. Okay, and I will be honest about that. And it'll take you a very long time to get to where you want to get to. So that should be your ultimate goal. It's like the 50 a day. How do you get to 50 HU a day if you're not consistently building towards it? I thought, wow, this is going to take forever. This is what I honestly thought. It's going to take forever because I'm only starting on $900. I forget how much that was coming in. I suppose you can work it out. 900, that's what, 150 times 3, so that's 450 a day is what I started with. And then 12 weeks later, I was on 300 a day. So before I go into figures, I'll just take the recording off. I just realized.